Hey, let's stay on trade right now. Bring in market watcher Jeff Sica. It's been a rough month for the market for a variety of reasons. The last week, though, after Christmas was, I thought, very compelling. We had a couple intraday reversals in the market. One 800-point rally with an hour to go in trading, almost 900 points. That, to me, suggests that at the very least, there's some tire kicking going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, the volatility, the extreme volatility, and a lot of what Peter said was great in terms of everybody's trying to figure out what's happening since President Trump has made the stock market a barometer for his presidency. A lot of people, he has the tendency to use things like a call to say he's optimistic.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think people are giving. I mean, if he was that disingenuous, he did the call on Friday, or he could have made the call announcement today, not on Saturday, and have to wait 48 hours for the market. I think that's unfair. I hear a lot of people tweet about that and say that. In fact, if President Trump put the stock market above everything else, he would have never gone into this trade battle in the first place. He'd have never called out Powell in the first place. I think he thinks the market's a great barometer of his administration, but I think he sees trade and the Fed as bigger issues.
Well, yeah, and I think, I agree with the fact that he thinks the Fed is a bigger issue. There's no question about that. I also believe that the president didn't believe that the stock market would be this impacted by the potential of a trade war.
Yeah, so, although I think the market's been hit far more by the Fed than trade. We can go at the worst days, the 5-6 worst days in this year. Only one I thought was China-related. The rest I think were Fed-related. But be that as it may, this is quasi-good news. Let me tell you, I was reading The Economist over the weekend. I mean, you talk about an elitist, old school, you never have tariffs kind of thing. Almost every article, China's ready to make a deal. The Politburo, their attitude has changed dramatically in the last year. They're ready. They're on the cusp. There's a lot of non-believers who are saying we're going to get a deal now.
There are. Well, here's the way I look at it. We need a deal. I want a deal. I think it would be better for everybody. But there hasn't been anything specific, as far as what I've seen, anything specific, detailed or documented as to what exactly is going to be inclusive in a deal. So I'm not going to hold my breath until they start to roll out some details. Then when they do,
I hope the White House doesn't start to play the Wall Street game of rolling out every little nuanced detail. That's not what this negotiation is about. It's so large, it's so big. I think they've overspoke already. I think they've gotten into the commentary too much, to be quite frank with you. I do like the fact that this time she was on the same page as President Trump. When Trump said it was a great progress and great call, she also said that we've reached a vital stage. Both leaders now speaking in unison. There's not a week delay, a day delay. They're speaking at the same time in the same voice, which I think is pretty good. Let me ask you real quick, because Amazon, of course, one of the names that leads this market, it's been under some pressure. A big deal talking about this Whole Food expansion. What do you make of that? Is that a great sign for Amazon, or even a better proxy for the U.S. economy?
Well, I mean, I'm so blown away by Whole Foods. It's been it's becoming an iconic company. It's really, really impressing me. I think what Amazon is doing here is brilliant. By their 475 stores, they're expanding the stores. They want delivery within 2 hours of everybody in America, maybe in the world eventually. I think this brings the prime clients in to Whole Foods for the deals, and then the clients who come into Whole Foods that want the deals, that want the savings, will sign up for Prime, and the delivery is being rolled out in almost all of their stores. I think it's brilliant.
So are we seeing the synergies yet, or are they still to come?
I think the synergies are there. I think they were there. My opinion was they were there from day one.
Okay.
I think Amazon saw the sign of the times, saw where Whole Foods was going. They're going to start building bigger stores, 45,000 and bigger square foot stores, which is going to accommodate a much greater percentage. The population is migrating to Whole Foods, and Amazon is there. It's brilliant.
All right.